doing multiplication with decimals with a whole number. I like this. We've done a little exploring. Now we're going to figure out what it really means by moving the decimal or replacing the decimal. So we have in 2010, the United States Mint released a newly designed Lincoln penny. A Lincoln penny has a mass of 2 5/10 grams. If there are 5 Lincoln pennies on a tray, what is the total mass of the pennies? How much mass does one penny have? Well, we know it has 2 5/10 grams. How many pennies are on the tray? 5. Use regrouping language to describe what you're asked. Okay, so first of all, we're going to do some estimating because estimating is still very important. So when I look at here, I have 5 times. What are we going to estimate 2 5/10 to? Well, same as we've always done when we rounded or estimated we estimate to the whole number. So the 5 tells me that the 2 is going to change to a 3 as a whole number. So now 5 times 3 equals 15. So I think my answer is going to be about 15 whole. So now we could use the distributive property, and we can talk about that. So we're doing 2. So distributing means we're going to break this apart, but we're going to distribute it out evenly, the 5 to both of them. So we have 5 times 2 5/10. So it's taking 5 times, if I break this apart, it's 2 whole plus 5/10. So the first part I'm going to do is 5 times 2, and I'm going to get 10. Then I have to do 5 times 5/10, and I know that is 25/10 or 2 whole and 5/10, because if I have to regroup. So if I add these together, I get 12 5/10. Is that close to 15? Pretty close. All right, so here's another way of doing it. So here we're just going to multiply, showing the partial products. So we're just going to multiply, and so 5 times 5/10 is 25/10 or 2 wholes and 5/10. So the next part, I would do a whole times a whole, which is what? Well, 5 times 20 is 100. Yes, 5 times 20 is 100, and I have to line up my decimals. So they're just taking up 5 times 2 is 10, but I still have to move it over because of my decimal has to be lined up. So I have 5/10, drop my decimal down because I'm adding, and it's 12. That's what we came up with here, 12 5 grams. Okay, so we can use the distributive property, we can use the partial products, or we can just think of it as moving the decimal. Now, here is personally my favorite way of doing it. So we're really taking it times, both of them times 100th or times a 10th. So we're doing, this is like taking it times 100th or taking it times a 10th. So is all we're really doing. If I look at this answer, let's think about this, how we're doing it. And I'm saying I'm going to do 1 35/100 times 8. So I'm going to think of this as a whole number just to start with. Don't think of it as the decimal. Think of it as a whole number. Multiply it as a whole number. So I'm going to do that. I hope you're doing it on a whiteboard or somewhere on this sheet. So 8 times 4 is 24, plus 4 more is 28. 8. Okay, now I have my whole number. Now I have to think about this as a decimal. I took this times 100th. So I got to get rid of that decimal, or if I take it times 100th, I'm taking 100th times 1. My product is going to have it in the 100th place because 100th times 1 is 100th. So I've got to move it to the 100th place. Well, a 10th, 100th. So I've moved my decimal, so you don't get confused. It's in 100th place. It's not dropping the decimal straight down. It's how many places did I have here in here? I had it 100th. So I have to get it in the 100th place. So I have 10 and 80 hundredth. So let's move down here to these and let's just do a little practice of those this way. Now, if you prefer to do it using the distributive property or the partial product and just keep moving those decimals down, that is awesome your way. I prefer this way, so that's probably the way I'm going to show you. If that's confusing to you, I want you to come talk to me and I will help you with the distributive property or the partial product, whatever you like best. So here we're just thinking about placing the decimal. They did the multiplying for you. But if I look here, I'm taking 100th times 1 because that's I don't have any other decimals. So I have to get it back into the hundreds place. So it's tenths, hundredths, 47 and 67 hundredths. It's very misleading, guys, because so far we're just dropping the decimal down, but it won't be like that later. So please don't just think you drop the decimal down. Here I'm taking it times a tenth. So in my answer, it has to have a tenth. Move my decimal into a tenth spot. Here I'm taking it times 100th. So I'm moving my decimal into the 100th spot. I hope that's starting to be clear. So let's do just a little bit more practice. Here you're finding the product. So what I want you to do, first of all, estimate. I have the sheet backwards. Right. I want you to estimate. So quickly, the 3 is not going to change the 6. So it's 6 times 3. So it's 18. Whole. So let's do this. I'm going to think of it as a whole number. I have 6, 9, 18. So I'm taking it times 100th. I'm going to move it in 10th, 100th, 18 and 96 hundredths. That's pretty close to 18. So I would like you to practice and I would like you to do 5 through 9, all of those with your partner. Once you understand it, have me come over and I would like you to show me one of these that you know. Don't start doing it till I'm there to watch you, please. All right, and then we will skip this page and hopefully you'll have time in the end to come back and do it. We get that done. Let's do our homework page. And is what I would like you to do here is I would like you to do all the evens. Make sure you write these however you need to. On the back, we're doing what we always do, 1 or 2, show me your work, and all of these. I hope this is helping you understand multiplying decimals. It's just a matter of moving the decimals on whatever base it is. We will continue working on that.